We now move on to a game where we see alireza play against one of the world's best in Hikaru Nakamura. Now, this game was an internet game, but I wanted to include this in the series because it demonstrates yet again just how shrewd and cunning alireza can be, even with very little time, and how he manages to find these incredible ideas and incredible resources in a position to bamboozle his opponents. And this time, he managed to completely bamboozle somebody who normally is the one doing the bamboozling, and that's Hikaru Nakamura. We see a fantastic idea by alireza, which comes out of nowhere, basically. It looks as though he just doesn't have enough pieces. And once again, we see this theme of his where he just manages to find these ideas which are just so unexpected. And sometimes it works out brilliantly, as we'll see. So this is the game against Hikaru Nakamura, which was played online in 2018. For us, it's a kind of English/reverse Sicilian, where we get a very normal-looking position after 6 moves. Can be in English. Again, all of these moves aren't really that interesting to discuss in terms of this series. We get a very standard position after 10 moves. Looks very, very balanced to me. Where Hikaru goes for a standard exchange, puts the king in the corner, centralizes the bishop. Alireza now plays the move knight to e7, looking to exchange this light square bishop with bishop f5, and Hikaru decides to play the move d4, ed4, ed4, and bishop f5 anyway. Alireza with a keen eye here, of course, and noticing that the king is still in the center, this pretty much forces Hikaru to castle. He doesn't want to get too flashy here, and gets his king safe, where alireza now, of course, takes on e4, queen takes e4, and plays the move knight to g6. And this is really the first moment which I would like to discuss, because in this position, the move knight to g6 is, of course, not the only move. Black has got a whole bunch of ideas, but alireza tends to enjoy the putting his opponent in tough spots. I think that's what I want to talk about. We saw it in the first game as well. He really makes the opponent kind of make tough decisions. And the move knight g6 is one of those moves, because of course you're hitting the white queen. And when the queen takes this pawn here on b7, alireza's idea becomes apparent. He moves the bishop to b6. It's very important that this bishop is also on prise, so that's an important detail. And after b4, the move knight to f4. Now, this move kind of shocked Hikaru, and the reason we know that is because Hikaru was actually streaming this game after knight to f4, and he kind of was like, hold on a second, what is this move all about? And that's what alireza does. He bamboozles his opponents, no matter who they are. The move knight to f4 in itself is obviously a very natural move in this position. That's the whole reason he put the knight on g6, to put it on f4, and all kinds of attacking options with this knight on f4. But the idea behind Hikaru's last move, b4, was, of course, to play the move pawn to c5, which ostensibly looks like it gets the bishop. As it turns out, it's not quite the case, because after d takes c5, and now white, for example, could play the move d takes c5 here. Queen takes b2, pawn takes bishop, pawn takes pawn, takes. Something like this could happen, where, of course, Hikaru, as the white player here, would be very happy, because even though after queen f6, you could argue that black has got more than enough activity, certainly black is not winning this position, and white looks like he's got various ways to play. So I'm playing for 2 results. Alternatively, if b takes c5, I think Hikaru probably then realized that, oops, the move rook a7 suddenly exists. And these are the sorts of tricky little ideas that Alireza is so good at seeing. Suddenly the queen is actually trapped here on b7, and after d5, which is the only move to try and divert the attention of the black queen, you can go queen g6, threatening mate, and after knight h4, you can take on b7. There's a mass exchange. We get a position like this where suddenly only black can be better. Material is equal, d5 is hanging, the bishop on b2 is hanging, and you can't go bishop c3, of course, because knight e2 check. So that doesn't work. So Hikaru was kind of looking at this position, was thinking, well, I mean, okay, what's going on here? He went for c5 anyway, I guess because he was going to take back with the d pawn. But this is where Alireza again plays in Alireza style and plays the move pawn to d5. A really wonderful move in many ways, not because of its objective value, but because of the follow-up and because of the shock value and the practical value that a lot of his ideas have. Because after c takes b6, Alireza now uncorked an absolute beauty. The move knight takes g2. Just a stunning move. Now, again, it's stunning insofar as it has immense shock value. The objective value of this is perhaps questionable, but the imagination that Alireza has is something to behold. Not many could sacrifice two pieces against Hikaru Nakamura and be confident. Now here, Hikaru just simply wasn't able to deal with what he's just had to deal with here. Two piece sacrifice in two consecutive moves. He plays a mistake. He plays the move knight e5. Now he was saying out loud during the stream, what happens if I go king to hg2, queen g6 check king h1, queen to e4, with the idea clearly of queen takes f3, king g1, and then you're going to get hit by a rook lift and you're going to get mated. But this is where he probably saw, well, after h3, queen takes f3 check, king h2, and maybe now I can just go c takes b6, where things might not still be so clear because f2 is weak, and you know, if queen takes b6, do I run into rook e6 followed by rook g6, where there are still some issues down here? The queen is offside, can't really get back in, and you know, your confidence takes a bit of a hit here as white. As it turns out, the move rook g1, after which queen takes f3 check, rook g2, is probably still not sufficient for black in terms of full compensation. Certainly not over, but you have to think that, well, if the queen manages to get back towards the defense of the king side, black probably doesn't have enough in the first place. Now, after knight takes g2, Hikaru erred with the move knight e5, and this is where we see Alireza just that one step ahead, because knight e5 is also a very serious move here. And what a move he uncorks here. Bang! Rook takes e5. Absolutely stunning. Not only is he giving up the rook here on e5 for an exchange, sacrificing yet more pieces, he's allowing Hikaru to take the rook on a8 with check. Queen takes a8, king h7. So let's just take stock here. Nakamura's got a queen, two rooks and a bishop. Alireza has got a knight, rook and queen. So he's already a rook down, and his rook and knight are on prise. Now, in this position here, believe it or not, Hikaru has got a very important resource, which is to play the move pawn to f4. And actually, after this move, giving the king some luft, the best result is probably just a draw, because after knight takes f4, d takes e5, you give a check, but the king can now run to f2, and after queen g2 check, you run to e3, queen e4 check, and you run back to f2, and it's a draw. Of course, you can't go to d2 here, because queen d3 check, king c1 and knight e2 is made, or king e1 and queen e2 is made. So you have to repeat, and it's just going to end in a perpetual check, where your opponent has just given away all his pieces. Then you can't blame Hikaru for making a mistake, and he does with the natural move d takes e5. And now Alireza plays queen f3. What an incredible position. He is 2 rooks down here against Nakamura. 2 full rooks, and this pawn is barely just a step away from making a new queen. But Alireza has everything under control. He's threatening to go knight f4 followed by queen g2, knight e2 or knight h3 with all the mates. And actually, there's just nothing you can do here. For example, if rook fc1, you're just going to go knight f4 and it's just all over. Queen g2 or queen h1 is going to be on the next move. Giving up a full queen, and after queen takes d5, once again he has to find some tough moves here. He wasn't able to. He played the move rook a d1, after which Alireza just came straight back into f3, and it became clear that actually just giving up the queen has only delayed the inevitable here. Knight f4 is still a big threat, and after rook d3, he managed to take, and after b takes c7, this was the last. This is what the Hikaru had seen as the last kind of shot, because now it looks as though he might actually make a queen, but Alireza just said, "I'm not bothered. Knight f4. Have your queen. If you make a queen here with white, actually this is where Hikaru resigned, but if you make a queen here with white, he missed it. Black has got another resource, queen g6 check, followed by queen to g2 mate." And that is how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, this game, it wasn't objectively the best game ever, but for Alireza to see all of these resources, just all of these ideas, knight takes g2, rook takes e5, and to be able to understand that it's going to be very difficult for white to find answers in a short time control. I think that's just something to be inspired by, to be honest, and certainly a demonstration of just why he's one of the most cunning and shrewd attacking players out there.